Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is we're gonna play a little Hollywood Animal today. This is a movie industry tycoon type game where you're gonna build a movie studio, make movies, release movies, and hopefully grow your movie studio. And in recent years, there's been a number of these kinds of games that were released or earlier in 2025, along with this one, The Executive, the movie industry tycoon game came out. And then just recently, Super Movie Tycoon came out. There's also another one that was out, I think in 2024, it came out called Movie House, the film studio tycoon. And this game actually, um, they all seem to start around the same time period for some reason, like back in the 1930s. One of the things I will say though is that this one actually, there's a story behind it with regards to the studio. The studio went under, and if we go through the introduction that we just passed, you'll see some of that introduction. Someone died on the set, and there is a movie that we have in the can that we're able to basically release um, right now. um, this is your starting screen though. You're going to choose your name here, and we'll do SP movies, and then you have a couple of different icons here to choose from for your studio head, your studio insignia, emblem, whatever you want to call it. And we'll choose, I think, owl in here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. We're going to start with medium funds, and Loop and Luke. For some reason, I've found that this movie seems to work pretty well. This game is a bit different than some of those others. The others, you actually kind of have to fill the rooms with regards to like the studio, the director's rooms, and the producers' rooms, and you have to put the furniture in and all that. That is not. This is not. That is not in this game. This game actually um, gives you basically the buildings to build and set, and different research that you need to do. So this is our entire movie studio area. This is our headquarters, maintenance, distribution, and post production. And you see these red icons here. That means that there's no current research going on for that particular area. So, and we have four different department heads that are in the headquarters. And you can see the titles down here: the PR department, HR, financial, and legal. And we're going to start with all of these things you can research to upgrade, and it gives you a time period on how long it's going to take in game time here, right? Eventually, what we'll be able to do, and you'll see here, there's an overall speed up of 3%. And eventually, as these department heads gain experience and level up, we can increase this speed up level of the time it takes to get some of these things done. So these are going to be the first things we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and get started on upgrading those. And now you can see that when you mouse over these actually have days left for that. And this is our maintenance department. One of the first things that's going to be asked of us is that we upgrade the landscaping. Now, the other thing that we can use is we can use these influence points here to potentially upgrade, speed up the upgrade process as well. The only problem with that is that these are your influence points, and they do go up and down depending upon the movies that you create, and um, how well they do and that kind of thing. So for the start, I would say we don't want to use too much of your influence points um, in order to speed up the upgrade. Now, in some instances, and you can see our head of distribution down here is a level 2 person, And if you saw him, he would have a speed up on this side. And basically what you're going to then do is you're going to use funds in order to be able to speed up that particular upgrade. Now, probably not a real good idea because your funds are limited and you don't have any movies released yet, so it's probably not a real good idea. um, and then typically one of the things that I like to do with some of these upgrades, um, is to pick some of the ones that are the least amount of time to upgrade. And then you'll see over here we've got an icon here that's told us we've got a new building that we can build. And this is going to be our script department. This is going to be where we're going to get new movies. Now you have three choices when you go to build a building. You have the low cost and typically the quickest building, but the condition is only at 50%. You've got one that's kind of a medium cost, medium time frame, but the condition is a bit better than 50%. And then you have the most expensive one, and it takes the longest, but that's a 100% condition. These two are sufficient because the other thing that you're going to be able to do at some point is you're going to be able to research in the maintenance department. You're going to be able to research a maintenance crew or a repair crew, and so they'll be able to repair those buildings if you need them repaired. But let's get the script department deployed here, and that's our script building. Now, this is our movie that we were left with, and we have it's going to be ready for release. Let's go ahead and start the clock. Now, this is the countdown to of days that will be in basically in development for distribution. So in 44 days this is going to be out in the marketplace in theaters, and people are going to be watching it. There's a couple of things about this movie now that I want to show you. The first that you're going to see there is the budget. That's what it cost us to make that movie, or what it cost the studio to make the movie. That Joe Duvall is the person that I mentioned earlier that had died on the film. Um, the other thing that you're going to see here is there's a popcorn thing there for it's basically a popcorn score, if you will, and that is um, basically the commercial likability of the movie, and this is the artistic score of the movie. So the 6.3 is the artistic score, and the 5.3 is the commercial score. So basically, how well received it'll be in the movie theaters. A couple of things that you'll see here too. The locations and filming and sound technology. You are given the filming technology, as well as the sound technology, and those we can upgrade and so on and so forth with different um, buildings, but we're going to bypass that for now. And this is a 50-50 action adventure movie. You kind of see that as I scroll over it. Um, the setting is in the Wild West. The protagonist is a cowboy. Um, and each of these, like I said, these are all scores, and we'll get to more of that in just a little bit here. Then there's some additional actors here. There's some themes, and some of these over time will become fresh or stale, depending upon how many movies come out with those particular aspects in them, those particular themes. We had a screenwriter, producer, director. All of these are going to be things that we're gonna see as we go forward. Um, this is our calendar here, so this is kind of the of all of the other movie companies that are in town that are making movies and producing movies. You can kind of see where we do have competition out there. Right now, we're number two on this chart. of studio accounts next to the under the Gerstein brothers. Um, and so these are all going to be um, different movies from different studios that are coming out that you're going to be competing against. Now, the other aspect of this too is that at some point you're going to have marketing that you're going to need to do. You're going to have um, where you're going to need to place ads for some movies and that kind of thing as you produce these movies. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to build the production set, and then we need pre-production because this is where we're going to be able to do hiring of actors and directors and producers and that kind of thing. And anywhere you see this where it's red, you're not able to place that building there, right? So you have to kind of look for areas. Now you can get an area that does overlap a little bit, but you want it in the green. Um, and again, I'm choosing the medium build here because this is going to be the most cost effective um, way to build these. We're going to need a producer's office because this is how we recruit additional producers to our productions. And over on the advanced tab now, we've got another one here called security. We're going to need security because at some point later in the game, we're going to get to, we'll see that um, there may be some things that happen on the set or to one of our actors or directors, that kind of thing. And so the security team will help us protect those folks from doing that. Now, I mentioned earlier you're going to be able to upgrade. You can upgrade the film and mic technology, and you could do that through the engineering. I'm going to hold off on building the engineering for now. And then this is a services setting here, and you'll be able to acquire different services, and that may help in gathering additional actors and producers and directors and that kind of thing because you can get those services. For instance, healthcare you can get, and that can actually play a part in um, the payment for some of the folks. And so now you can see here a little bit of a pop up here with regards to the story, and so this is going off of our person that's in the movie that we're about to release. And it's just another story element for the actual game. Now, I don't typically leave it on the first speed setting, and you can see now this is the amount of days that it takes for these different areas to be built. So the first one that we were building was the script department. And every once in a while too, with regards to this, you're going to see these pop-ups, which are basically, this person is asking for some time off for one reason or another. Looks like he borrowed some money for some people, and he knows that they weren't necessarily as good as they looked initially. So he's looking for a couple of months off while he sorts it out, and we're going to give that to him. The other thing that you saw was that there was an increase there to one of his attributes, and we'll go over that here in just a minute. So the first thing that's going to be done is our pre-production. We've got 7 days left on that, and then our production is going to be done, and we still won't have any script writing done yet. The main thing with this build, with this game, is that you have to keep things in the pipeline. So our building for our first building, our pre-production building has now been completed, and now we're basically asked to hire our pre-production department head. Um, and there's a couple of things here to look at. This is what I mentioned earlier. He can use money to speed up upgrades, as well as he has the ability to also use influence points to speed up upgrades. This is the loyalty, and this is the person's happiness. The loyalty you would typically want to see higher, but to start, he might no one really will be all that loyal just because it's at the beginning. Typically, one of the things I look for are these already being in place and their cost. The other thing is, as you see this level three, level two, so these folks are going to be a longer, take longer to level up. However, they've already got the bonuses here of being able to speed things up. And this person here is costing more than these two. So is this one. This one actually is the second cheapest next to a level one person. So I'm going to select this person. This is on a monthly basis for 5 years. They're going to want $912 a month. So that's something that you're going to need to keep in mind as you move forward, because this is going to take away from the studio's funds as we move through this. These are the actors that remained at the studio after the ownership, and these are um, the actors as well, and then directors. And so now we've got this built, and there's nothing out here that is currently um, being researched. So we're going to do, and again, on some of these, 10%. Well, if you think about it, 10% of 120 days is 12 days. So it's only going to speed it up 12 days for $100,000. So that probably isn't worth it. 5% for 100 influence points, probably not worth it. So for 120 days, he's going to be researching this one here. And we could have gone any of these, but to me, the technical support one um, is more critical, because you're going to be able to purchase new filming equipment and hire technical staff with that upgrade. And then again, this is some additional backstory here. So this person here was on a vacation. They're not a very big star, but they want some additional time off. And you can certainly choose to bring her back. That will affect her happiness potentially and her loyalty, even though it doesn't say it down here. Um, so we're going to give her some additional time off, because we don't even have script writing ready yet, right? So if we had the script writing ready, potentially we wouldn't allow her any additional time off. But since we're not even ready yet with that, we're going to let her off. Okay, and now this is telling us that the production facility has been built. Now we're ready to hire our production head. And now this guy here, he costs more than this guy, um, primarily because he's a level three. And again, he's got both bonuses. However, um, do we want to pay for that much for that? I don't know yet. Looking through this guy here is probably one. He's the most economical, so he's the least expensive. Now, the other thing to point out here is that these are 5-year contracts. His is a 3-year contract, which means in 3 years he's going to want to renegotiate his terms of his employment and probably want a raise at that point. But since we're just starting off, we're going to choose him because we don't need the extra expense of the additional upgrade, the speed up ability. We're going to upgrade to the level 2 sound stage, because now what we've got is we've got the ability to build a sound stage, which is where we're going to make the movies. So we're going to put one right there. And again, we're going to go with mid-grade construction. Just again, like I mentioned earlier, it's a cost thing first, and second, we can repair them. So once we get that researched and that upgrade in there, we're going to go ahead and release Limp and Luke. And here's something else here, talking about someone else that's going to be coming out of retirement. Again, just adding story bits. Okay, so now this is going to kind of explain the rating system with the movie. Okay, so it's an A plus movie from the KinoMark rating system. It's measuring audience reviews, and then we're going to talk. You can kind of see some of these reviews coming in from um, pundits about our movie here. Um, and again, the popcorn score and the um, the artistic score there. Okay, we're going to hit continue here. Now, basically, anyone that was involved with the production of the movie is going to get some experience points, right? To help them gain experience and, as I mentioned before, level up. So, some of these are going to be the actors, the screenwriter, producer, director, cinematographer, and so on and so forth. And we'll go through that in just a second. And then this is how much was spent in that stage, and that's basically the printing of the film copies for the film. And now it's in distribution. And if I open this up, you'll see here we've got 7,000 screenings, $73,000 in rental fees to some of the screens because we own some theaters. Okay, about 3,000 theaters we own, but we're going to be showing it in almost 7,200 theaters. And then there was an ad buy that was done for the movie, right? And so this is basically how much the effect of that ad buy was for that particular movie. And you can kind of see here once we get going and it gets moving into the theaters for a while, it'll give us an indication as to whether it made money or isn't making money or that kind of thing. In another 2 days, we're going to have the producer's office built. Another 20 days yet before the sound stage is done and our producer's offices are built. And so now what we can do is we can recruit new producers. That's the first thing for, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Or what I like to do is usually recruit them by the movie. And again, this is the same kind of thing, right? So this is the most economical person, but he's only a level one, not very loyal. This is where we're going to go here with this guy and do the upgrade here of 2 projects per producer. And we might want to spend a little money on that one. So you can see it's normally a 1,500 a day time for that upgrade to happen, and we're going to take 150 days off for $100,000. That's probably worth it at that point. Still don't have a script department built yet. That's coming, and our security office is coming, and we'll have a head security, a head script writer, and a head of the security department that we'll have to hire as well. Okay, so now here's something that we take a look at here. We can see that on this particular movie, first week in the box office made $654,000. Our attendance was 99% of the 7,185 screenings that they sold 99% of the tickets in those theaters. So that's where this money comes in. And this is going to be key because this is going to give us a boost. Now, that money does not go into your account until at the end of the initial 4 week run, and we'll cover that here in just a second. So this is our script department. We finally got our script department built, and we're looking for a head of the script department. And again, it's the same thing, right? We're looking here first at cost, years, and then also the upgrade factor, the speed up factor of the upgrade. Unfortunately, our level 3 is probably a little too high. So we might actually go with this guy here. We're going to save some money that way. And then this is going to be where you're going to choose the three favorite genres of the movies that you want to make. And basically, we've got three writers in house, and one writer will be each of these three. I've had probably the most luck with these three. Inevitably, what's going to happen though is as we get going here, we're not going to see these kinds of scripts come in or these kinds of ideas come in that we'll be writing. We'll have to do something there with that. There's our three screenwriters, and again, we'll see which one is which with regards to those three that we just did. Let's get their upgrades going. So 200 days. Let's get the story workshop going. That's 50 days. So you can see here, and he's on holiday for another 23 days. He's the adventure writer, um, detective, action and romance, thriller, detective. So those are and then this is where we're going to write new scripts from. Um, the ideas section is typically where we're going to start. We'll get the right, choose the action, get him started on writing that, and it's going to take him 117 days to finish writing the script for that. Don't know how good it's going to be. We don't, with him being a low level writer, it's probably not going to be that good. Now you can see here the attendance fell off the second week. We're still making money here, but by the third week we've really dropped off, and we're still making money, but we probably no longer, well, when we get to the fourth week, we're probably no longer going to need those additional screenings. And again, this money has not gone into the studio's account yet because we haven't finished that run. Once the run is done, it'll ask us whether we want to extend the distribution or if we're going to modify the distribution. So our sound stage is complete, our first sound stage, and that's where we can, and I usually just leave it sound stage 1, sound stage 2, that kind of thing. And that's going to be where we're going to make movies. So you can see here the first 4 weeks were successful, and we can extend distribution, which I will because this is the only choice we have. But in later, um, after this one, we'll be able to modify the distribution to only go to a certain number of screens if we want, and that kind of thing. Our security office is built, and so we're going to be looking for a head of security. So all three of these guys are level 3, and you can see 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Him being the most expensive of the three, these two right about the same. And since these two guys are right about the same, and these two are actually cheaper than these level 1 guys, we're going to go with this guy here. And then the other thing that we're going to do, again, some more, basically consider this a tech tree, if you will, on all of these, right? First thing we're going to do though is we're going to get a upgrade of the agent training. Knock off 25 days for 100. And then the other thing we're going to do with security is we're going to hire some security folks. Actually, you know what? No, we won't. Not yet. Because we don't have any movies in production. So we don't need any security folks at this point. So after the initial run, you see the now, you know, all of the money that was made from week 1 to week 4 now went into our accounts. Now we're at almost $10 million in our account. And so basically, that's what we're doing. Again, all of our departments are built except for our services department and our engineering department, which I don't know that you really need the engineering department, especially early game. The service department's kind of nice, but you've got to basically research it in order to get to it. Okay, so yeah, we're still dropping audiences here. We're still making some money over what we're paying for the rental of the theaters that we're showing this movie in. But we can see here, and we've dropped again, 66 to 55%. Not a big drop, but it's a bit of a drop. And we're just going to kind of let this. So he's back from vacation, so that should give us another opportunity to write um, another movie here, because he was the adventure writer that just came back. So we're going to get him started working. And then once we get the story workshop researched and set up, then we'll go ahead and probably next episode we'll show you what that does for us. I wanted to kind of get through the first distribution of our first movie here that was already in. Okay, so now this is one of our upgrades that have already completed. Now this was the service department that I mentioned to allow us to have some services that we can now build, and I'll show it to you here. We can now build. You can see the one. We can now build the services building, and that's going to, it says it's going to help with transforming the lives of the. It doesn't do much other than give you an opportunity to purchase basically bribing materials for your folks that are going to work for you. And at this point, so now we're down to 23% attendance in these, and we're only making about double what we're paying. At this point, we're going to end the distribution here just because we don't have an option to lower our screenings, and we're going to continue to pay that $73,600 for those rental screens. And you can kind of see it's dropping off, not quite by half, but we would only get one more week of profit out of it, and then we'd start losing money. So we're going to end that distribution there. We can kind of see here, okay, with profitable film, so we have some reputation that gets increased. Now, if you have a non-profitable film, it's going to take away from that reputation, and we'll probably see that here. And then this gives you basically a synopsis of what, after the conclusion of the distribution, what the total audience was, what the expenses were, the total box office the profit, the top spot we reached, which was number 1. So that was pretty good. And then we're going to send this to the archive. And that was our first movie. Our first movie is done. Here's our legal executive coming to us. And so this is part of the story too. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. You can see Joe Duvall was dead, right? He's the one I mentioned earlier. He was the star of the film Limp and Luke that we just made. And so again, if you go through the introduction of the game, it kind of goes over that, you acquired the studio from another owner, and this was the last movie that they made. They didn't even get it released. He died on set or during the movie or after the movie, what have you. So what this is talking about is there is apparently an agreement was made from the previous owners of the studio and Joe Duvall and his family that he would be paid a percentage of the box office take. And you have a couple of options here, right? One, you could do the ethical thing here, and would be to pay the money that is, supposedly owed, or you can tell the legal executive that you don't know what he's talking about, and he doesn't either, basically. And that's the one we're going to choose. So now this is a secret, and now we're going to need a security person in order to quash this secret. And you can see here, the more terrible the secret, the greater the consequences if the truth should come out. So we've got to hire a security person. If you don't, there is a potential then that this gets leaked, and then you're going to owe money. Yeah, so it tells you here, in order to reduce the risk of secrets being leaked, you need to build a security department, which we have. Up here is where your secrets are kept. And so now we have a need to hire someone for security. And you can see that sometimes these guys are very, very expensive. This is $400 a month, and he's only a level one. So we're going to hire him. We're also going to hire him because we're going to need additional security personnel here at some point. So now we can come up to the secrets again, and we can assign one of our security guys. They're both level one, right? So neither one of them is going to be better than the other for that. And as days pass, this will go up or down based on whether they were, successful or unsuccessful. That will also help their experience. And as they get more experienced, then they'll have the ability to potentially quash the secrets. So we have a story workshop upgrade that was available. And one of the options here is to develop new story elements. And we'll go over that here probably in the next episode because we're getting a little bit long here. I'm going to start the upgrade for that. And think, I think, I mean, we don't have any movies. We don't have anything currently in production. Don't have any thrillers at this point for ideas. Since the story workshop was complete, we can now build it, and so we'll do that. And you kind of see where you can build it, right? It's within that green area, and it's basically attached to the script department. And again, we're building this in the mid tier, I'd say. Um, Again, once we get the repair crew, we'll be able to repair these buildings if we need to. And I think this is probably a good place to stop. Um, all right, let's get one more thing in here. Okay, so she's asking for some additional time off, and we can give her 2 more months off, or we tell her showbiz can't wait. The problem is we don't have a script that we would need her for. She is an actor, and if we give her 2 more months off, her happiness and her loyalty is likely to go up. And when she returns, she might be higher than a 2.5. So we're going to give her the 2 months additional time off. Like I said, we're still 51 days away before we have a finished script that we can even begin to produce. So um, I think we're going to stop there for this episode. And next episode, we'll get into the story workshop, which is currently being built. And we'll get into the production of some movies, and we'll start our pipeline basically. And that's basically what you have to do in this game is you have to have a building pipeline of movies that are in production, getting ready for post production, and then ready for distribution, all kind of almost as in a an assembly line kind of a thing there. Guys, if you enjoyed my first ever video, please go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, comment below if you like the game, don't like the game. Wish it was something a little different or anything like that. Again, this is my first video, so please bear with me, and I hope to see you again next time. Thanks.